Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not live on Twitter. Damn it. All right. Well, I'm live. Got to upgrade the Twitter account. And I'm going to be here probably for a little while, see if I can get any Trump supporters or MAGA people who have been attacking me to join me here in the Hangout and find out a little bit about them and maybe have a discussion with people. So if you saw that link and you want to join me, cool. Let's start with Phil. Hi, Phil.
Hey, how you doing?
Who are you and where did you see my link? Hi.
I think it popped up on Twitter, but
Yeah.
I'm from Vegas. Talked to you out at the Pod Jam last year.
All right. Well, you're a supporter listener of mine then. You're the wrong guy.
Oh, I'm the wrong guy?
Yeah, because I want to, unless you're a Trump supporter.
No.
Yeah. Damn it. Damn it. Well, go text your friends this link because today I want to talk to Trump supporters. I'm happy to talk to you though as well. So.
Oh, that's cool. I was coming to check it out. Hang out. Haven't seen you in a while.
Well, I can remove you from the room and you can hang out and watch it, or you can watch it. You should be able to watch it on youtube.com/stand up with Pete right now. Help me out and let me know if you can see it over there.
Oh, okay.
All right. And I'm going to put on a caller who's a Trumper. There goes Phil. Thank you, Phil. All righty. We're off to the wrong message, which is fine. I'm just experimenting. I'm really interested in talking to MAGA world and Trump supporters. So I just tweeted out the link in hopes that randos would call in. So I'm also live on YouTube and Facebook as a real experiment because I want to take calls real bad. I'm going to get a phone number and go live and take calls. But I'd love to know how this works. I'm just experimenting right now. I'm really excited to do this because I've been doing it off the air and I think it's a place where I might be effective. Talking to people who are Trump supporters specifically about a few different issues. And so it's an experiment. We'll see what happens with it. If anybody wants to join me, you can just click on the link that I shared and I'll just pop you in the room. But you got to be a voter of Donald Trump. You got to be MAGA Nation to join me on the Hangout. And I don't want to really argue. I just want to ask people questions and see if we can get to a place that I've been getting with a few folks off the air privately that I may or may not share. So I have some strong beliefs about what is happening in the country, specifically with men and boys. And I want to learn more. I want to have a better understanding. So that means I got to talk to people. And then I've got to share those conversations. Maybe, maybe not, if I think that they're productive. I used to think I already know what they think. And so there's no reason to listen to them. But at this point, I really am surprised and shocked by some of their beliefs. And I find that I might be effective in dialogue with some people at helping them think through some of their beliefs. And I could be wrong, and this could be an entirely failed experiment. And I'm going to try it anyway. It's just one part of my work. I'm going to have these conversations with Trumpers, with Trump supporters. Where are you? Join me. A lot of people after my CNN appearance a couple weeks ago, like hundreds of thousands of people, if they're real, called me names on Twitter. So I thought, well, if I go live on Twitter, that maybe they would join me, but it didn't work. I'm not live on Twitter. I'm live on YouTube. I think, and only YouTube. Am I live on YouTube? It's a massive failure. It's one of those things where it helps if you've got hours of research into a project, going live in this case, or a producer, somebody that you pay that knows. But I'm just like, fuck it. Let's go live, see what happens, see if I can get anybody to join me in this Zoom, in this StreamYard chat, rather. This isn't even a Zoom. I'm going to tweet it out one more time and see if anybody will join. MAGA world, MAGA nation. I didn't want to call them pejoratives because we get it. If I call people fascists, do you think they're going to want to talk to me? I don't know. I want to talk to Trumpers, Trump supporters, MAGA Nation, call me, because you called me all kinds of names anonymously on Twitter. But why not just say it to my face? And I'm not trying to be a tough guy. I'm not trying to dress you down or make fun of you. I'm trying to actually ask you a few questions. So don't be intimidated. You don't even have to turn your camera on. It's just a random experiment. Join me. Join me now live. That's what I got to write. I come from the generation of broadcasters where you got to be interesting and keep talking at every moment, as opposed to these young bros that go live on Twitch. And I saw this guy eating soup and not talking, and he had like 1 million people watching him. And for middle-aged or older broadcasters such as myself, who have a career in live television and radio, that is a goddamn mortal sin. You can't just sit there and do nothing and not be interesting and not be entertaining and expect anybody to watch. But the truth is, I guess you can. Helps if you're an attractive person with a talent, no doubt about it. Or even an unattractive person with no talent. They get the most views. But my understanding was that you had to keep it interesting, stay engaged, be entertaining, or no one would care or want to watch you. But no, you could be literally doing nothing, just staring at the screen and get millions of views. You have nothing to offer. But there's one woman on Instagram, her whole thing is she just stares into her camera live, and you're there with her and you know they're live. And that, by the way, that's probably 1 million people, right? I said that's one woman I know of. So maybe I'll just, why can't I just do that? Why can't I just look into my camera? Probably because my face is upsetting. Anyway, my idea today was to try to talk to any Trump supporters, but it's not going to work. You should be lined up to talk to me right now. But it turns out either no one's seeing this because it's not on Twitter, because I fucked it up, or they just don't want to come on. I'm not going to say they're cowards. I don't need to be provocative to bring people in. But I did tweet it on Twitter. Hey, join me. Still nothing. No calls. We've got no calls on our first live, and I only want Trump supporters, which is why. But yeah, no promotion, no calls. You know what I'll do? I'll just sit back and watch scenes from Batman Begins, and I'll get 1 billion. 1 billion people will join me, because that's what happens now online when you go live. Everybody's been telling me to go live. Just go live. Just go on TikTok and go live. Go on YouTube and go live and see what happens. Well, I'll tell you, nothing happens. Literally nothing. And I just want to apologize for anybody who's joining me live right now, especially if you've been here for the entire 8 minutes I've been live, because it's brought nothing of any consequence or importance to your life. And I think you need to reevaluate what you're doing at noon East on a Friday that would allow you to join me here and take from you precious time. There you go. Now the numbers are dwindling. I have to shame you, because that's reverse psychology, and then we'll get billions of viewers, because people do that shit too. I don't know anything about this going live world. I just miss being live. I did live radio for 12 years, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I fucking loved it. I love the idea of complete strangers calling me and me having a public conversation. It's great. I want to do it. I got to figure out the technology to do it. I will. I'm getting closer. That's why I'm trying today. I got very close to getting a phone number to give out today, but I haven't quite figured it out. But I still wanted to go live. And I also went live on, and still continue to go live on television. It's not the same, because you're not interacting with the viewers in real time. But there's just nothing better than live radio or live internet in this case. I think it's the same thing. Just random people that you've never met calling in anonymously. And in this case, you could do that too, because you could just make up a name and keep your camera off. Be the same thing, but I got to figure out how to make that work because this guy, Brian Shapiro, who I just did a show, he's doing a great job at it. And he explained it to me. He's doing something different, but I definitely want to take calls and talk to random people. So that's the goal. One goal of going live. Obviously, I can bring on guests and I can talk, can play clips, but that's for the future. Today was for the present moment to take Trumpers, but they're not calling. 0 calls. A call in this case would equate to you clicking on the link. All right, let's check in the comments. All right. Hey, Pete, excited to listen to you live. Mindy, have you begun to regret it yet? Neil Brown, very live, not a Trumper. My coworker likes to watch people eating on YouTube. She's 67. Yeah, I mean, why? Can you get her on, Phil? Like, I honestly want to know what that's about. From what I can see, you're only live on Facebook. All right, Jeremy. What about YouTube? I'm not live on YouTube. Oh. Oh, I think I am if you click on it. Just created an echo. All right, so I'll do 2 more minutes. And I appreciate that you are helping me experiment, and I'm sorry. I will personally come to anybody that was here of the 11, just refer to yourselves as the 11 grasshoppers in your correspondence with me. You're very lucky. You will get something out of this. I will make a light promise that I will come to your home at some point in my life and perform a small task of physical labor or chore. Wash your dishes, dig a hole, fix a doorknob, mow your lawn. I will do that. For the 10 grasshoppers that were here, I will come and perform a task that is within my skill set. So suggest in the chat what task you would want me to do. That way you get something out of this. Something. I guess you would have to deal with me in person, so maybe maybe it wouldn't be worth it. Maybe you'd be like, you know what? I do need that doorknob fixed, but I also don't need to spend more than a few minutes with you. This really has been enough. But I could, you don't have to. I will come over. I'll mow your lawn. I will do anything outside, really. I'm pretty equipped. For the rest of, I'll make that light promise to you. Phil says this is radio gold. I feel that, Phil, that is sarcasm. I don't think it is radio gold. And if you're one of the 11 grasshoppers, Jeremy says, you're the only reason I paid for satellite radio. Thanks for not having me do that anymore. Well, Jeremy, are you a paid subscriber to my podcast? And if not, why not? And does shame work? I'm told that is not a psychological trick that works to create different behavior. I tried. Yeah, no, I'm Mindy. I'll have a guest to talk to, so I'm not taking people's time. I like to interview strangers, though, as well. Michael Green, I cannot cook dinner. I specifically did not suggest that I could cook for you. So I would have to agree on what the task is going to be that I come to your house for. For those of you that joined me today, I am making a light promise that I will come to your home at some point in my life or wherever you're at, and I will do something for you so that you've not wasted your time here today. Neil says it takes time to grow this. You guys want to watch me age? We have 19 people. Yeah, but you're 90. Give me a second. Jules deserves my money at least. LOL. My Jules, not your Jules. Oh, God. You almost had me there, Jeremy. Can you help me get a job? Neil, what are you looking for? I know a lot of people. Neil. I know you're a good guy. I could try to help. People help me get a job. Many of you are the reason I have a job because you're paid subscribers. Actually, I don't know. Of the 11 of you. I don't know who's watching or where you're watching. But yeah, so name the task. If I agree to it, I'll come. You have 2 more minutes to name your task to get something out of this so that you don't lose this time in your life. What do you want me to do? What can I help around your home or to make your life easier? Can you get me a job at work? Oh, IT work. All right. Yeah, I will. I'll share your resume on my massive social media. I'll just do that. Give me a resume and I'll post it on on my massive following. If you believe in me, Neil, and the power of my network, I will post your resume. You could probably do IT from anywhere, right? I'm guessing. Yes, I will clean your garage. That I will do. Yes. Where do you live, Michael? I love cleaning garages. I clean my own a billion times because it fills right up. I don't know how it keeps filling right up with cardboard and garbage in bags filled with clothes. You like how I pronounce the LTHES? Because I am a professional broadcaster. I'm live. Michael, in Maryland, yeah. Not only will I clean the garage, I will build you storage units and storage solutions so that when you that everything will have a place. I find that everything having a place is a way to fight anxiety. I have the kind of anxiety that's low hum when my place is a mess, when my space is a mess. And it's always a mess. That's the thing. I've never been able to conquer it. But when I clean, I feel better. When everything's organized, I feel better. And so I organized the hell out of drawers and closets and basements and garages. So yeah, Michael, I will come to your house and I'll clean your garage and I will build things so that we'll build back better. But bleach bad bleach blonde body. What I mean is Marjorie Taylor Greene will be there to help us. She'll just be doing squats in the corner with a power drill. Don't put that there. Move it with the laser. It's my Marjorie Taylor Greene impression. All right. Last chance. All right, Neil, you can do it from anywhere. Send me your resume because you were here. I owe everybody here something. I mean, we have 16 people here whose time I am wasting waiting for a MAGA person to call in. All right, I'll schedule one next time. I thought maybe we'd get a couple. TB Voss has helped me figure out how to go about publicly calling out the local school district. Oh, yeah, let's do a call. That's right in my wheelhouse. You know, I don't know who knows me here, how you found me. But if you're at all familiar with me, you know, the last 5 years, I've been very much involved in the school board fights. The school board fights of the 2020s, everybody. Fascism is back. And it started with the Moms from Liberty. Yeah, deal with all of them. What's up, Bryce? Kim Nyborg is here. What are you doing in the middle of the day? Shouldn't you be, I don't know, insurancing? Shouldn't you be, what kind of mom are you? Why is it escaping me? Rachel S. I don't think you're a Trumper, but I'll try. Are you a Trump supporter, Rachel? You're on the air, Rachel. All right. You figured it out.
No, absolutely not.
You're not a Trump supporter? Are you Rachel from the stand-up community?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you can't be here.
That's a bummer.
You're
I just want to see how it worked.
You're a good and funny person. Yeah.
I make myself a sticker chart.
You're in the office.
I am.
Well, that's good to know that your connection works. Yeah, you must be on Wi-Fi, right?
Oh, yeah. We got a good IT guy.
We love you. You're great. People talk about you. They love Rachel. Community. She's an honest, cool, smart, funny, thoughtful person. What is your work again?
I work in the finance department at a domestic violence shelter.
But what is the room you're in?
This is my office.
Oh, it almost looks like a doctor's office.
Yeah, it's taupe.
So the domestic violence shelter, can you say the name of it?
Yeah, I work for the Center for Prevention of Abuse in Peoria.
And I worked with a bunch of organizations years ago that worked. how do you say it? Against domestic violence. Because I always
Yes.
I worked
Yes.
for these domestic violence groups, these anti-domestic violence.
Right.
And it was really rewarding for me. And the goal was to bring in a few different men. It was me, and it was ironically, coincidentally, one of my former childhood heroes. This guy's a standout college athlete at Syracuse University. I grew up watching him play. I had season tickets to football. My dad took me to watch him. He later became an advocate against domestic violence and a role model for a different kind of man, whole thing. And so he and I and a few others would go in and do talks at corporate meetings in different places. And I worked with 3 different organizations, and it got the issue of domestic violence was only getting worse the whole time. And it wasn't like I felt like I wasn't making a difference. I did, but I burnt out. So my question is, how do you deal with that day to day and stay in it?
I think it's just the nature of our organization where, a lot of people say like we're a big family, but like there's 100 of us. We're just doing the work every day and just caring for each other.
And that fulfills you, or it gives you a reward to come back the next day, and there's reward, right? Like there's
Yeah.
purpose and reward in your work.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing that job, what other job or career would you be in?
I went to school to be a therapist. Um,
Like a clinician, like a one-on-one?
yeah. Yeah. And I didn't have fantastic leadership in my first job, and um no, it wasn't for me. I wish I had gotten a job before grad school in therapy so that I would have known not to spend that 50 grand. And if I had taken a couple bookkeeping classes, I thought would have found out I might have been good at this. And so, but now I'm good at this, so it's fine.
Does that eat away at you at all? Like, I wish I had that money back, or I wish I didn't do that thing or make that choice, or do you not live in the past, or like have feelings about regret or something?
Oh, I do, because I pay that $1,000 a month.
Oh yeah, so it never goes, oh my God, really? That's your school loan payment?
Yeah, that's what they would like me to pay.
So you pay oh God. Oh,
But I know I work in public service, so fingers crossed. I've been here from 2006, so fingers crossed. In 2026, I'll have that forgiven. Fingers crossed.
what do you think? Let me ask you this question then before I let you go, because I can
Sure.
make it good. I'm trying to, as Kevin Richburg at our hangout the other night makes fun of me. He's like, you got to stop. You're not listening to yourself. You keep saying I'm obsessed with men and boys right now.
Well,
What I mean is, I'm very
yeah,
interested
absolutely.
in the issues that men and boys are dealing with, because I believe that one diagnosis of why we're at where we're at in our country is because men and boys are struggling, and the right, to really make this brief, the right is giving them the causes and reasons for their struggling, and the rest of us, which aren't the right, which might not even be political, aren't doing a good enough job to help understand their struggling and giving them different solutions. Seeing as that you work in domestic violence,
I do believe that conservatives are giving the community that men desire, masculine, manly community. In theory, desire. In theory, desire.
is the issue when you work in domestic violence, is the issue almost always the aggressors are men and the victims are women, or are they?
No. I mean, majority, just statistically, yes.
You do have
And
women
then,
that abuse
yeah.
men, other
Oh,
women,
yeah. Yeah.
and you see those people as well.
Yep. And then we also have our shelter is set up to be able to have any gender. And then we also have a perpetrator side where we provide counseling and support to perpetrators of domestic violence.
Tell me everything about that.
It's called a partner abuse intervention program. I'm going to make sure I said that right. Partner abuse intervention. Yes.
Do you know about
Um,
its kind of goal or curriculum or anything?
I don't know the curriculum. I did a different type of curriculum in my grad work for, I mentioned this the other day, for sexual abuse perpetrators.
Can,
But will say that our curriculum lowers recidivism. If you complete it 75%, if you complete the 26 weeks, you're likely never to be picked up for domestic violence again.
The statistics say that the program works to, yeah.
Yes.
So I want to talk to somebody over there. Just
Okay.
off the air. I just want to know what they do.
I can send you information. I'll ask that person.
Okay,
Yeah.
Rachel, let's end with a light note. Your kids are how old?
13 boys, 13. I asked on Ophira's podcast about your thoughts about raising boys.
Oh, my thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I mean, men's thoughts in general. That's one thing we have to talk about.
I think they should be hit. I don't think any kid should be hit.
No.
And
I have a 9-year-old and 5-year-old.
You have 4 kids.
I have 3.
Oh, you have, well, okay, sorry. I thought you said 13, 9, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what, can you ask I was going to end on a light note, but I'll do this. What is the question about raising boys? Like, what question do you have? I'm sure you know what you're doing and you research and you try to do what you think is best.
I think I was raised in a very authoritarian household. No one would no one would dispute that. My husband, on the other hand, is raised in a very permissive household. No one would dispute that. And we just have to find a middle ground, because we both know that we both learned a lot from the wrong things, but we didn't learn a lot about the right things to do for teenage boys. And I did take a couple of your book recommendations. So
the best is Between Parent and Child by Dr. Chaim Ganat, in my opinion. That's my opinion of the best. I feel like I read all the parenting books, but I think I would always skip chapters that didn't apply to, me or my daughters. I felt like when I would read parenting stuff, and we didn't have any special needs or anything like that. I think that's obviously a lot different, but we did a great job. I feel really amazingly good about the job that Val and I did of raising our girls. And there's always, nature nurture conversation. Who knows if what you did had any effect, good or bad, or most commonly, I think we have good intentions and they end up bad. So
Right.
no, but the best thing I always say is be with them. Don't get caught up at work or other things. Be with them. You'll screw them up no matter what. Just be.
Well, no, just be the other things we talk about in therapy, about, in my therapy, about, there are different parts of us that activate or don't activate in different ways. And like, just how do I not make that super critical part inside of my kid's head? How do I be a voice of kindness and comfort and not critical? That's what I'm working on. That's what I am personally working on right now.
One of the weird things I feel like I haven't read too much about this, but like when your kid does something that they know is wrong and they know they fucked up. I mean, don't get me wrong. I did this a lot of times, but I also caught myself and didn't do it a lot of times because it feels terrible when someone does it. When you know you did something wrong and someone keeps telling you you're wrong and saying, in my case, I would be like, what made you think that was okay? Why did you do that? And they don't have the answer right then. But the bottom line is when you keep like kind of drilling someone, it's like, this is true in a partner in a marriage too. It's like, I know I fucked up. You keep telling me, it makes it worse. Like I'm already feeling badly. And the kids, when you do that to the kids, your kids, it's like you're telling them, I don't approve of this. I don't think it's okay. But you're also like, they get it. They know. And I think a lot of times with the girls, I certainly never punished them. I never took anything away from them. Never, not once. Never said never gave them consequences. And maybe that was wrong. Might have been wrong. Don't get me wrong. I just felt like they learned the consequences. I felt like it was automatic. I'm like, oof, you fucked up. Now this is going to happen. And then I don't
natural consequences.
There are natural consequences. Like for me, I also learned instead of consequences, I read this. I think the most important thing you can do is tell your child that they've disappointed you. I did it like 3 times. I'm very sparingly on that. And I know how much of a difference, like that's disappointing to me that you did that. They're like, oh, that's not okay. Mm-mm. And they, by the way, all my daughters always throw my shit back at me.
I'm paying for that right now, which I guess is good, but
no, my girls.
13 is tough.
13 is tough. Any age can be, but I just remember Julia more than a few times going to me and once to my father. I heard her say, you can't talk to me that way. Nobody can talk to me that way. Nobody can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are. You can't talk to me that way. And I was like,
Yep.
all
Yep. And meeting my, well, that backed up on me. Absolutely.
right, Rach.
All right. I'm going to keep watching.
All right, I'll let
Hopefully
you
get
go.
some people you want on here.
I'm gonna punch out soon, but I love you and I appreciate you, and this is fun. Thank you. It's fun talking to you. I love talking to people. I love it. And I love talking to strangers. I love talking to people I know. And I love listening. Sorry. But now I've dumped Rachel. Somebody else wants to punch in. I do think it might be fun because I'm good at interviewing anybody anytime. Not always. Some people suck. But Rachel's awesome. That was fun and honest, and she's funny and smart, but I don't care. I don't care if you eat fucking rusty nails. I'll still interview you and ask you questions. I don't care if you're mentally ill, schizophrenic. I've done it. I've interviewed that guy. One of my favorite interviews ever. I didn't tape it, but I sat down with I think he was homeless. He was a panhandler in Washington, D.C. And he was clearly mentally ill, but he said he just got out of jail. And I sat and talked with him for a while. I bought him a bagel or something so he would keep talking to me because he was hungry. I realized that one way to get hungry people talk to you is to give them food. And so Bryce in the chat, it says, how do you punch in? If you just click on this link, you're on YouTube. Fair enough. It's not there. I'll post the link in the comment. There you go, Bryce, if you want to punch in. That should do it. And I'll see you and I'll bring you up. So this guy told me he just got out of jail. And that while I go, why were you in jail? And he said, because he stole a bus, a city bus in DC. He got on a bus and he drove it away. And I couldn't stop laughing. And he said the cops finally caught up with him and he stopped and he opened the door. And, hey, Joe, you're on. So he opens the door and the cops say to him, you like driving around in buses? Because where we're going to take you, there's plenty of buses. And then they took him to prison. And I thought it was kind of funny the way he told me that story, that awful story. That was one of the most interesting people I've ever talked to, is mentally ill homeless guy. He told me he was mentally ill. He was schizophrenic. He didn't seem mentally ill to me. Is that your shop? Joe is a stand-up community member, subscriber, longtime listener, sneaker collector, and he does maintenance on helicopters. Can I say that about you? Because we're live. All right. You're on mute. I can't hear you. Unmute mic. Do I have to do that?
No, I didn't. I was getting feedback through the YouTube thing, so I turned off I muted the thing so you wouldn't hear it.
Got it. Is there anything you want to say or talk about? I just punched you in. Did you know I was going to do that?
No, not at all.
You want to talk about hair
no,
care?
For those of you who don't know Pete, I've been listening to him for 10 years, 15. How long has it been since you've been on Sirius XM? A long time. Yeah. And he's a great source of. He's funny and he's knowledgeable, and he's created a great community of people that just love hanging out with each other and listening to him run off at the mouth. It's fantastic.
Very kind of you. I didn't even think that maybe I could just do testimonials as the way to promote me here, but that's a good idea. I should solicit more of those. Thank you, Joe. That was kind, and I really appreciate, obviously, you being such a thoughtful guy and longtime listener and supporter. And I guess I hate to say the word loyal. You don't need to be loyal. I feel like I should earn it every day, but I appreciate you sticking around, man.
Trying to figure out which cameras actually I have my little computer set up here. I'm not sure which camera is actually broadcasting me.
Look up.
So as far as loyalty goes, Pete, you work harder than anyone. Again, I've been listening to you for, I don't know, a long ass time, and you have done the best work of any person that I've ever listened to, trying to be fair and balanced. And when you got kicked off Sirius, it actually helped me, because you started doing your podcast and your time slots on Sirius were terrible for me because I'm on the West Coast and you're an East Coast guy, and so this podcast has been just I hate to use the word blessing because that's not my style, but it is. You have Eric Siegel, Bill B, the guys, the talent you have, you brought to all of us mere mortals is fantastic. I mean, we haven't heard from Aaron Carroll lately, but I remember when you were on Sirius, I love listening to you and Aaron. I love that. It's one of my favorite.
I would have him on every week. No reason that he's not been on. It's not my choice. He's like, I think he's busy and wary of media in his new position. He hasn't told me that though. But I mean, I will be having him on. I appreciate all your thoughtful, generous words just now, buddy. And you are a mere mortal. You think I'm immortal? Like I'm better than you? More.
No, you're a celebrity, and I am not. So how?
That
so
makes me. You consider me a celebrity?
Well, you're something of. I mean, I don't know what level of a celebrity you are. You would know that better than me.
Well,
you are
my daughters.
You have access to people that mere mortals don't have. And
well, I do. I don't. That's the value. I think I want to try to figure out how to promote that value. Like saying I know everybody and get almost anybody on sounds a little arrogant, but that is the thing I do. Like my show has always been the strength of the guests. I think you would agree.
I agree.
And
I agree. I mean, and
that's
and
it. If you can get these,
you're knowledgeable and you can ask the right questions. The questions you ask have always been the questions I would have asked if I'd had the opportunity to talk to them. Right. So that makes
let's say that I'm whatever I am at interviewing or whatever. I think that what I'm good at is knowing who to get on, knowing who you might want to hear from, finding credible people, and then developing them and create a relationship with those people and creating that credibility. That's what I feel like I've done so much with so many people. That's what I'm most proud of is that like we get really good people who are relevant and kind of have their finger on the pulse of what we need to know about, to learn about, at the right time. So hopefully that's how people see what I'm doing.
That's how I see it. That's how I've always thought. I don't have a great memory for all the different folks you've had on the
Me neither.
time. But Waj or even having Dean or Dino Adala or John Fugelsang, the old guys from the show. I've always you have folks that have very articulate and they can explain things in ways and express ideas in ways that I have always found valuable.
Right, because I think that when I started the show, I thought I might, if I had success, it was because I wasn't an NPR intellectual. I was in an associate degree.
You're not nothing. This is not a slight in any way. But you're like when I have an associate art degree. You have an associate arts degree. Neither one of us, but
we're just it doesn't make us less intelligent. Because if you measure intelligence by curiosity, but it was more about like how I communicate with the expert. So I asked him a question that I thought when I started, I was like, let me ask the question the truck driver would want to know. And in a way that the truck driver would understand, because that's the same way I understand it. I mean, I think my vocabulary has gotten better over 15 years, but I'm still not,
Yeah.
I'm still autodidact. Do you know that word?
No, I know I've heard it before, but I don't know. I'd have to
self-taught.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, like you read books.
That's roughly what I am.
I know you are. Yeah.
I had to learn by doing, and so, but I also have a curious mind. I hope, at least I think that's.
How old are you?
51.
Do you appreciate your hair, and do you think you take it for granted a little bit?
No, I don't take it for granted. I know that. So let it out. I'm half Italian and half something else. And
do that. Just give me one. Yeah, just give me one of those. Oof.
I just cut it. Just a little bit.
Come a little closer. Do it again. A little closer. I miss it. I miss running my hands. So one thing I will do, I'd always do with my daughters. I always, ran my hands through their hair because I didn't have hair, and I like that. Anybody likes that sensation, and it's a loving touch, But what I realized that I started doing that when my girls were younger, I would do that to other people's kids. other people, I would just Joe
and they
Biden,
started asking funny questions.
just Joe Biden, other people's kids, like just on the airplane. No, never a stranger, but like I was at my, I was with a friend of mine from high school too long ago, and her daughter, it's like 8 years old. And like I just grabbed her ponytail like one time. I was like, oh, you know what? You're not my kid. I can't believe but I miss hair. I miss running my hands through it. But you look good, and I love you. Appreciate you jumping in here and talking to me, man. This is live on YouTube.
And if this is being broadcast on YouTube, I'm assuming. For
Yeah.
those of you who don't know, Pete has a daily podcast. He tells you, he probably tells you, but I've been listening to Pete for 15 years. Well, maybe not quite 15 years. And again, he's just a normal dude who, well, he's a comedian, so that's not normal, but that's another story. And he just does a great job of making crap that most of us, hear on the news or out, in the world make sense. And he finds folks who actually knows more about it than we do and makes it make sense. And I appreciate that. I'm not, again, I guess, again, I'm using the word blessed because I have the time to look for, do my own research. But at the same time, I know that there are people who know this shit more than I do.
Yeah, well, of course. Well, it's not about. Let me help you with that because I think it's a really important point. My dad's calling me. Did that come over?
Say that to your pop.
I should bring my dad in. I don't know how to do that.
It doesn't.
Hold on, I'll pick it up.
What do you call him? Chisel D?
Chisel D.
Chisel D?
Yes, Chisel D.
Can you hear him, Joe?
Yeah, a little.
Hey, Dad, I'm live on the internet right now. I don't want to brag.
Wow.
Can't believe I am.
Okay.
Can I call you back?
Well, you're live. What difference does it make?
What difference does it make? It makes a difference because I don't want to have a private conversation with you in front of all these people, but currently we are.
Yeah, it won't be that private.
Okay, what is it then?
I butt dialed you.
Yeah, you didn't even mean to call me?
No.
Do you love me?
Yeah, enough to butt dial you.
All right, I'll call you back. Dude is hilarious. Yeah,
That was a good one.
Did you hear it?
How fortuitous was that? Your dad butt dialed
Hey,
you in your first live thing.
Look at this, Joe. This guy Jeremy just signed up for a paid subscription based on this.
Nice. Way to go, Jeremy. Welcome
It was worth it.
welcome to the Pete Dominic, family.
The stand-up community, let's call it, right? I don't want my
Right.
name in it. Joe, we got to be careful, right? We don't want me becoming some kind of. We don't want people thinking.
No, that was so. You're right. So one of my, if I do have a flaw, is that my branding is a little bit suspect.
But don't we have to make to make sure that no one puts me on a pedestal? I think upon entry and membership, they should have to have a written insult, so they knock
I
me
don't
down.
agree with that.
The
The thing about that is they need to be around a little while to really get to know you, to make the insult relevant.
Right. Good point.
You can't just come in flying hard and go, oh, by the way, you're bald. That's not fun.
Right. No, that's a great point.
fun.
They need to listen to the show for a month, find any number of reasons to take the piss out of me, including a technical error, and then lay out.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, I just don't want to become a guru, and I'm worried about it because I'm doing the good stuff now, which is all this.
As far as that
self-help.
goes, can I ask you this question? Because
Yeah.
I've been listening forever.
Explain it, but let me
You
just
started
explain.
this shit when you were about 30, what, 5? Because you're about to be
Started
50,
what?
49, 34. Started doing the show. You were 15 years, so you're 39, 49. So that would have been 34 when you started.
In my mid-30s, I got hired at Sirius to host the Comedy Channel, and then.
Okay, so one of the things about, because I'm a little bit older than you are, and I struggle with the idea that, because I've been around the block, just like you have. You are around a different block than me, but we've been around the block. And at some point, because you're about to become the youngest old person, just like I am. I'm the youngest old person. And now you're the oldest young person. But next year, you get to be the youngest old person. And a funny thing's going to happen.
That's 50.
Yeah, 50 is a magic number. You
Yep,
get to
okay.
be the youngest old person.
Yeah.
You've been around the block enough times to where you know stuff, but you don't know everything yet, but you know more than a 34-year-old will know. And you'll be like, dude, just do it this way. And the 34-year-old will be like, well, what do you know, old man? And you're gonna be like, what? I'm not old. And then you're gonna go, oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, don't you think?
So, and then the thing I was gonna say was, you're this close to being a wizened elder. This close. And
Where do I pick up? Where is there a commemoration? Do I get a
ask your
certificate?
dad. Your dad will know.
My dad would never take that. My dad would never he would not like to be called that. I don't think. It's funny, but that's a good question. I'll ask him. But I just think that common sense. I always thought this. I bet you thought it. I don't think it's in any way a sign of intelligence. It's a survival instinct for me. I guess it's not even common sense. Survival told me that if I wanted to be good at a thing, find someone who's good at that thing and walk up to them and say, will you be friends with me? And I did that my whole life. And so in terms of development as a man right now, there are several people influencing me always, but there's a guy that I hike with every Wednesday, and he's 15 years older than me. And he's like, he would be uncomfortable if I talked about it in front of him, but he went to Yale. He's a pediatrician, and he's 63, I think. And he's real funny, and he's real smart. He's Jewish, but not religious. But like, I hike with him every week, and he tells me like what's going to happen to my body, and any questions I have about like my eyes or my prostate or just man health stuff, obvious stuff, but also how to prevent that, what he does. He does other. So the point is, like, shouldn't we always have an older friend in our lane, if you will, like as a man or a woman? I mean, gender doesn't matter when it's coming to just a wisdom, but when it's coming to certain like men's health things, or in my case, personal things that other men have dealt with, similarly to you, career, parenting, and marriage, to be specific. And
no,
so,
I don't. So this is the hardest thing. You talk about, because I listen to a bunch of other podcasts as well as yours.
how dare you come into this live stream and tell me you're a cheater and you're not?
About knowledge. I enjoy knowledge. And I think one of the things that men, you've talked about this many times, and I don't disagree with you on this one. And as a guy who was a former soldier, I was in the Army for a long time. That community of men where we can all get together and talk and share the shit that's going on in our lives and stuff, but in a non-competitive way. I don't see that anymore. Like when I was growing up, my dad and all his buddies would get together on weekends and they would play softball and they would drink, and I'm assuming I was young, so I don't know exactly what they talked about, but I'm assuming they talked about stuff, and they were able to vent and they were able to commiserate and this, that, and the other thing.
Yes.
I just don't see that stuff anymore. Like I golf. That's the closest thing I got.
It's extremely, it's changed so much, and we don't. I've thought about that. There's a lot of research in it, but specifically men, we're not good at talking face to face to other men. We are better side to side. So if we're at a bar, I'm more comfortable saying things because I don't need to look at your face and feel your judgment of me. If we are on the phone, it's better, but still men don't love to do that either. But the thing that works the best for men is to have a central focus. So an activity. So golfing is a reason why golfing is very popular. And I've done everything I can to make it unpopular, but I have failed at every turn, and it helps men, and it helps, and drinking, and, any sport, but playing role-playing games. Some guys, still do Dungeons and Dragons and so on. Any number of events, skiing. I find some of the best conversations I have with anybody, much less men, certainly my dad, have been side to side on a chairlift going up the hill. And so we communicate more comfortably that way, which is why I also use the Marco Polo app to communicate with a lot of men and women too. I talked to a few women there as well, friends of mine, Mara, Quint, and a couple of others. And it's a great way to just dispatch a message and not feel the judgment of another person. And So that's what the research says about men. And increasingly, we're not doing a lot of those things and not getting out. The loneliness, the feeling of you're the only one dealing with this shit. And then, the midlife stuff is real. And so what do we do about it? And that's why I think these things like Zoom and these technologies are really great. And certainly it's one way with the podcast.
I would like to see more, like, and everyone talks about, I've listened to multiple people say this, like my parents' generation had like the Elks Club, and we had the Moose Lodge, and we had these other social places where we would gather. Well, the parents would gather. The kids were just along for the ride. I was along for the ride. You just don't do that kind of stuff anymore. Like even the American Legion or the VFW, where veterans get together and talk to each other about what's going on. They still have that. Ironically, we still have that community. I don't know if it's because we're veterans and we just, we gravitate towards, other veterans in that way. But I don't know that normal people don't have that, and it's unfortunate.
Well, one thing I want to do, Joe, and I keep thinking about this, is especially because my daughters are older, so they're moving on and moving out, and I have to replace that because it's a hole for me. My kids were my everything, and still will be as long as they want to be with me. They take priority, but they are young and having exciting lives, and so what I'm going to do is go out on the road and meet with people and hold gatherings, even if it's 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. But to take the research and my own anecdotal advice, we're going to do a thing. And my idea is it could be anything from we could play Frisbee to fucking bocce to drinking if you drink, but a lot of people are really skilled. I like the idea of service. So I like the idea of us coming together. My brother and I have a hard time communicating about politics anymore. He's way far to the left, anarchist. He's in a different world than me. And so we try to avoid that. But what we found is we spent the whole day chopping wood, and now we're going to build like a movable bookcase, and then we're going to build a new room in his house. And when we do those things together, we laugh our asses off and we have a great talk. So I thought, what if we all got together and we did a service project for somebody, built a sidewalk or a garden or fixed something, project over a day or two. And like they got something out of it. We got to hang with each other. And I want to be able to I want to find a way to kind of to be able to make that work. And
I heard that there's going to be a new Habitat for Humanity is getting a new spokesperson. Unfortunately, now that Jimmy's about to step down.
Oh, I'll audition for the Habitat for Humanity job. Okay.
I mean, that's service.
In Jimmy Carter's shoes. My first speech will be like, these are hard shoes to fill. And you know what? I quit. I can't do it. Anyway,
so all of the things, unfortunately, because of the nature of what I do and how I do it, coordinating that with you guys, our community, stand-up community, would be difficult for me. But for I know a lot of the other folks, that
we'll make it work.
I'll make the meetings with Thursdays and now Mondays. Yeah, we have meetings Mondays now. Is that the deal? What's the other 2 days now?
Mondays and Thursdays at 8, all the way through the holidays. That's my goal right now. Because people are going to be lonely.
And especially seeing this how I can't see my family anymore because they all voted for Trump. That's another story. I'll leave that out.
So you've cut them, like you can't even be.
No, I didn't. So I didn't say. So I'd be careful. So like you, I'm half Italian and half something else. Unfortunately, the Italian side of my family decided that they were going to be.
I'm only a quarter.
Oh, you're only a quarter. So I'm
half Italian, half Lebanese. My mom's like a fucking pilgrim mutt. I don't know. There's a lot of white things.
So that's not far off from me. I am half Italian, Portuguese, and a bunch of other stuff. And then, but my Portuguese side of the family, I'll still see all them. And the other thing is, you live on the East Coast, and I'm trying to go as far west as I could go. That's a tough road for me to travel to get to you. I mean, I'm
coming out there. I'm getting on the road. Did I not mention that? I'm going out on the road.
So knowing what I know about some of the folks in our community, it seems like most of us on the West Coast are from Northern California. I don't know too many. I haven't heard too many people say they're from SoCal at all.
Oh, we got a lot of SoCal.
Really?
They don't. Yeah, they're not necessarily as. That's the thing people don't know. I guess only I know. I got to get that data. What I would love to have is a map and put pins in it.
Because it seems like like Pete and a few of the other guys who come to the meetings on are high on
You
my
know,
name.
there's a lot of Northern California guys. Pete and Dustin and
Yeah, and that's
Uh,
so
Oski
my
and
family is
Jordan.
mostly from Northern California, but
But there's a lot of
I
people in
live
Southern California too, and even in San Diego, a few people. No, I can think of like 10 off the top of my head. In Southern,
I would love,
in
I
Southern,
would love for there to be like a little, Pete Dominic or stand up community meeting in San Diego. I'll gladly host that. Or
what if
go
I
to
did it in Central California to make it easier for everybody?
Well, unfortunately, California is kind of big. It's about a 6-hour drive from San Diego to Central California. It's not.
I know. First of all, don't you dare come in here and condescend to me about the size of California.
It's like going from Buffalo to the city. It's a long,
I would like to do that. I would like to do. It's not like that because that view. I was going to say. I would love to do the whole PCH. I've never done that. You've done that lots of times, probably.
I've driven parts of it, and I've not driven the Central Coast part of it.
My goal is to like get to a point where I'm driving the PCH and I just decide to just drive right off. That's how I want to go out.
It's actually so much more. It's one of those things that when you're driving it, other than when you're in the city, if you're in the city, it's not that nice. But when you're driving that spot from northern part of Southern California to the southern part of the Bay Area, and then anything north of the Bay Area, it's fantastic. It's arguably like I've lived in northern New York. I was in Fort Drum. I've been to Syracuse. I've been there. Fall in northern New York is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen.
Indeed, it is.
Driving the PCH is just about as pretty, and it's the whole thing. It's all like that all year. I mean, you catch fog. And even the northern, even the Oregon coast and the Washington coast, which I've been lucky to see, are just
well.
fantastic. They don't look like the East Coast either.
I'll do a California something. I'm going to wrap it up because my voice is about to. I realized I just did an interview and it's over for me this week. I think I got to do silent weekend. I don't have anything last week tonight.
Meditate. That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
Meditate. Dan Harris, listen to some Sam Harris, and then just.
I don't know about that. Jesus Christ, guy scares me. I'll listen to him talk about neuro. I just want him to stop talking about race.
Yeah, he gets a little.
His reaction to the election.
His
reaction to the election was so hyperbolic. I just felt it was beneath him, and he was one of the original impactors in my thinking. Certainly, his views on religion, I feel very strongly in agreement with most. But his take on Islam, I mean, all that stuff lost me a lot because I don't know. I think we should be very specific.
Unfortunately, it's the thing we talked about. You and I have actually talked about is that multiple things can be true at the same time, and in that case, in that particular, Gaza and Palestine and all that stuff, so many damn things can be true all at the same time. And in his case, he chooses what he chooses, and it isn't necessarily.
Yeah, I don't much care for his views on foreign policy or domestic policy, or even certainly not on race. I think that his views on how we think and why we think are interesting, and I think they're connected. But he loses me. He loses me a lot. I once heard him in an interview. He was a guest on some guy's show. By the way, this guy is a very popular podcast, probably much more popular than mine. His name is Jordan Harbinger, and it's not good. But he has some kind of weird marketing gimmick. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. He gets good guests. That's his thing. But he doesn't do nearly as much as I do, and he doesn't get even the same type of guests. But Joe, his whole thing is, if you want to know how I get these great guests, take my networking course. And that's what he's selling, how to like meet people.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to be like, I don't
how much so
way better guess, and I'm not selling a networking course, you think. But anyway, Sam Harris on, and Sam Harris, I'll answer your question with Sam Harris. Goes, I don't think a lot about race. And then he went on and on about race. I'm like, just let other people, let Tim Wise.
So how much of that, you've been saying something this week that has resonated with me. It's like I don't think much about it. Like people don't make decisions with that. Like some people make decisions with those ideas in their head. Like they're keeping multiple different ideas in their head at the same time. But a lot of people just don't. And you've been saying all week, like the people went to the ballot box and they didn't think about, I'm not a racist. I just don't think about that.
Yeah. Well, put it this way. This is the way I think about it. I couldn't articulate it at our hangout last night, and I confused the black folks who were there. Like, I'm not following. I was like, shit, I'm not doing it right. But here's what when I vote and when I think about the people I'm supporting, I think this is a long progressive tradition. But I don't think about what will be best for me and my family. I do not think about it because when I think about me,
personally, you yourself,
I myself don't think about me and my family because I do. It's in my mind. There's no doubt about it. I think about what's best for my daughters in terms of, they're girls. I think about healthcare, education, and employment opportunities. I certainly think about that. But my view is my entire life, the system has been set up pretty well for me. I've taken advantage of it and I've capitalized on it. When I vote, I think more about people who are struggling to pay bills. And I think about people who don't have health care. And I think about undocumented folks. I think about LGBT folks. I think about women. I definitely think about Black people and protecting first their right to vote. I think about all those things. And then I think before everything else, I think climate. I think about the planet before democracy, then climate, then, race and gender. And then I go down the line on education, economic opportunity, foreign policy, and all the rest. But I don't think about me and my family. I think about other people who don't have what I've always had. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you're not thinking about folks who are struggling and you're only thinking about your family, that would be natural and normal. And I'm trying not to cast judgment on you. I'm just telling you my thinking. I'm not voting for what's best for my 401k. And by the way, if I voted for what's best for my employment, I 1000%, and everybody in media should vote for Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, because he's gonna be a content machine for the next 4 years, with a nightmare for the political side of everything. But he's gonna be a content machine for the next 4 years.
And I'm trying to actually currently create content that it's at least partially, if not entirely. I guess everything's tangentially because everything's connected. But the good stuff is that it's like it's not about him. It's about you and your personal situation in life right now. Is there any way we can help?
Yeah. And so like when I went, so I feel the same way. Like I'm well aware that, at least, because again, there's an element of catastrophication to all this. Like the decisions he's going to make are going to negatively impact so many people, and I don't believe it's going to be good for any of us. But that's how I think. That's not how so many of my people I talk to just don't think that way. And I guess that's the reason why. And again, this might be our own little bubble that we live in. Like I live in the stand-up community bubble. So I think about how it's going to affect other people. I don't even really know how to orient my mind to think about how it's going to affect me. And I don't.
It's interesting to hear you articulate that, and seeing my comments, which you think similarly to, resonating with a couple of people in the chat is interesting to do. And maybe something that we should talk more about, what motivates us when it comes to supporting certain politicians, certain policies or ideologies, and by the way, not everybody, when you say everybody's going to lose, I mean, if you're in a certain industry, I don't know, like everybody loses if the water and the air is polluted. I guess you can't protect against it. I guess you could live in a dome, a globe, like Elon you can live on an island but if like the pH of the ocean gets thrown off enough, and Europe will be frozen over. So, but
it's like the
but if you vote for, sorry, go ahead, Joe. Say it again.
I've put YouTube on side by side so I can see the comments. The climate argument, like I get it. Everyone wants low gas prices. Don't get me wrong. I want low gas prices. I live in California. We're terrible, but we're terrible for a reason, and that reason is we can't just keep burning fossil fuels and not have a giant atmospheric river plowing in Northern California, and get all the rain we're supposed to get for the entire year in 1 month.
Yeah, very few people are thinking about that at the
voting booth. No one's thinking about that.
Increasingly, like I did, it's just anecdotal, but I interviewed a whole bunch of young people for this project I was doing on climate, and these young people, they just weren't that concerned about it. But All
Yeah.
right, let me see. Joe, stay with me. I really don't. I need to stop this, but let me just see if this guy. I'm looking for people to disagree with it, MAGA people, and I don't think Dave G is one of them, though. Are you, Dave? Dave, you're on. I just punched you into our chat. You're live on all the things that I'm on. Can you hear me, Dave? Dave G, I'm talking to you. He's gone. He hung up. Damn it. Oh well. Well, I'll figure it out, and I'll do this. I interviewed a Trumper for an hour last week, Joe. I haven't posted it yet, but it's fucking fascinating. All about men, all about, I know, but like, I think it is. I think talking about masculinity and gender with a guy, like he admitted, he opened up, and I don't know. I think it's interesting to hear somebody open up that might have never opened up this way ever for the first time. And
again, this is the thing in our community, we don't think we can have thoughtful conversations with those people, whatever, those people. But, I have plenty of friends who I'm still friends with who are MAGA. They are. Again, but they don't think about, they're thinking about themselves, which is totally natural. I get it. I can't think that way, but that's just me. I'm broken, not them. We are probably the exception, not the rule. We think about other folks more than we think about ourselves. That's probably not normal. And as a result, we have a hard time.
But it is the root of every religious philosophy. If you believed it, if you followed it, if you practiced it, thinking of others.
You have to.
No?
But the thing about that is, because I've listened to we've listened to our conversations long enough to know that there's a difference between like I just heard something the other day that I found to be the most true thing I've heard in a while. Right now, there's a bunch of people that are saying they're Christians that are really just Old Testament Jewish people that aren't Jews. They believe in the Old Testament, like all the Leviticus people, all the Leviticus. They're not Christians. They've never been, because they don't like what Jesus Christ.
You're talking about. Are you familiar with Kristen Dumez, Jesus and John Wayne?
I've heard that before, but I don't know. I'm not familiar.
It's this militant form of Christianity, which is also.
But they're not Christians. They don't know
the
what Jesus Christ said.
Hmm?
They don't follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. They follow the teachings of the Old Testament. They lean on the teachings of the Old Testament where God was a prick.
Do you think God is a prick?
He was in the Old Testament. Like he was in the Old Testament. He punished everybody. That was
no, Joe. I think that you saying God is a prick in the Old Testament is a real understatement beneath you. I think he was worse than a prick he was spiting. Wasn't he lightning? Like when you say he's a prick, that just means like he's at work and he's an annoying asshole. But I think when you're lightning people,
we have a common definition of the word prick. That's a thing.
I think he's the devil. Sounds like he's the worst. Sounds like he's the most judgmental asshole alive. He's like killing people if they don't worship him.
Yeah, I'm a big. So one of the.
Or if they covet their neighbor's wife, which I've been known to do. I think we all. I bet you my neighbor's wife coveted me. I bet you my neighbor. Well, no, my neighbors never coveted me. They wanted to kill me.
I don't know how many people on YouTube want to hear us talk about religion. So we're probably not.
It's a good sign to wrap it up, Joe. I gotta go. I love you. Thanks for bailing me out. This is interesting. Thank you to Rachel who punched in. Thank you everybody who was here for the chat. This was a fun experiment. Thank you to Jeremy who signed up for a paid subscription. As a result, if you're waiting and I didn't get you in, sorry. I love you all very much, and we will do it again. And I'm going to bring people on. We're going to try new things. Constantly try new things. I don't care what works, what fails. Let's keep it going with your support. I can. But now it's time to rest the voice and meditate. Joe, thank you. Say bye to Joe, everybody. Everybody, that was awesome, Joe. Joe Lavoti. Fuck. Joe.
Lavoti.
Fuck. That was funny just to bring him back for the correct pronunciation. And then, see, you could do comedy here with like, with the app itself. No one's noticed my joy sign. Not a goddamn person has mentioned it. I guess I haven't been on too much with this backdrop. Anyway, I'll figure out what to do with this. Maybe I'll share it with subscribers, and a lot of you are here. Appreciate you all. Have a great weekend. Peace and love. Ending the stream.